Okay, today we're going to take a look at this question. What is sarcasm? What is sarcasm? Do you know what sarcasm is? Well, sarcasm is a very important thing in English, and in this lesson I'm going to try to explain this idea to you. Okay, so if you like getting tips like this, I would be so happy if you subscribe to my channel right down there. Okay, so sarcasm means saying the opposite of what you mean for the purpose of humor or criticism. Okay, saying the opposite of what you mean for the purpose of humor or criticism. What does that mean? I'll give you an example. Okay, take a look at this guy. This guy is grabbing that tiger's tail. Okay, he's grabbing the tail. Now, I am going to be sarcastic. Okay, so I'm going to say, wow, that's a smart idea. Well, that's a smart idea. That's a smart idea. Okay, look at this. That's a smart idea. What I mean is that's not a smart idea. Okay, so I mean this, but I said this. So I said the opposite of what I really mean. Okay, that's what sarcasm is, okay? So that's a smart idea. That's a smart idea, right? It's obviously not a smart idea. It's a bad idea because the tiger, could turn around and bite him, right? It's a stupid idea. It's a bad idea, right? So I understand that, and I'm criticizing this guy. I'm saying, well, that's a smart idea. I'm saying he's a bit stupid, right? I'm criticizing him for doing this. It's not smart, right? So listen to my tone of voice, okay? Tone is very important when it comes to sarcasm, okay? So I have a sarcastic tone. Okay, when I said that, listen to my tone of voice. Well, that's a smart idea. Well, that's a smart idea. That's a smart idea. Can you hear my tone is a bit critical, right? I've got a tone of criticism. I'm not saying it's a good idea, right? If I actually thought this was a good idea, then I would say, hey, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea, right? That would be if I think it's a good idea. But if I'm being sarcastic, then I would say, that's a great idea. Well, that's a smart idea. That's a smart idea. That's a smart idea. That's a smart idea, right? You can hear the difference, right, in my tone. And that is very important to listen to someone's tone to understand if they are being sarcastic or not. Okay, now take a look at this example. Okay, so here is this cruise ship. You probably remember this a few years ago, right off the coast of Italy. This cruise ship sank. Now, when I saw this on the news, my first question was, why was the captain of the ship sailing so close to the rocks? Why was he driving the ship? Why was he sailing the ship so close to the rocks? That's crazy. It's sort of a stupid idea, right? So I think this is a bad idea. Now, if I want to be sarcastic here and criticize the captain of the ship, I could say, great job, buddy. You just sank a freaking cruise ship. Great job, buddy. You just sank a freaking cruise ship. Okay, take a look. Great job, buddy. You just sank a freaking cruise ship. Okay, I'm saying great job. Do I mean great job? No, I mean it's not a great job, right? It's a big mistake. It's a big freaking mistake, right? I think a lot of people died. I can't remember how many people died, but it's just a big tragedy, right? A big ship just sinks. And it was all his fault. So if you want to be sarcastic, you could say, great job, buddy. Great job, right? you're criticizing him, but even you're in a sarcastic way, you're criticizing him. Okay, so words can have a literal meaning. That means, what they look like, or they can have a figurative meaning, some other meaning other than what it actually says. When you take a look at the words great job, okay, literally, that means great job, right? But a figurative meaning of great job might mean that you're actually criticizing the person, right? So this is very important. Some words can have a literal meaning or a figurative meaning. Okay, take a look at this idiom in English. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Okay, this is an idiom that means I'm very hungry. Okay, so this is figurative language. It's not literal. It's not literal. Okay, eat a horse. Okay, if I say this, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. If this were literal, that would mean I'm so hungry I could eat a whole horse. Okay, really, nobody could do this, right? Nobody could eat a whole horse. So I don't want to eat a horse, right? I don't want to eat horses. But even if I could eat a horse, it's impossible to be so hungry that you could eat a whole horse. Okay, so this is figurative language. Okay, this is an idiom. Actually, this is one of the idioms in my latest book, 101 Beginner Idioms. If you want to learn idioms, you can check out my books on my website. My website the link is right down there in the description. Okay, so sarcasm is figurative language for the purpose of humor or criticism. Okay, so sarcasm is a kind of figurative language. It's not literal, right? You're saying the opposite. You mean the opposite of what the words actually say. Okay, so that's important to understand. Okay, for example, remember a few months ago I was in Myanmar and I ate a cricket. Okay, I actually bought 2 crickets. I ate one and I gave the other one to a boy on the street. And you'll remember in that video, I said, I'm so generous. I'm so generous. I gave a cricket to a boy on the street. Now, I was being sarcastic. Because it's not generous, right? It's not generous to give one cricket to someone as a gift. Oh, here, you can eat a cricket. That's not generous, right? So I was being sarcastic. I was trying to be funny and criticize myself for not being generous. So when I said I'm so generous, what I mean is I'm not generous. I'm not generous. I only gave the boy one cricket, right? But I said I was so generous. Now, sometimes in English, you will see, when you read something, you might see these quotation marks around a word or around a phrase in English. You might see this if you're reading a newspaper or a book or something online, right? This means very often, this indicates sarcasm. Okay, so the word here in between the quotation marks, it has a special meaning. Okay, if you see these quotation marks around a word, that means that the writer is trying to draw attention to that word. Okay, so if we say, I'm so generous, I'm so generous. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, it means that, I'm not generous. Okay, so whoever wrote this, right, if you're reading something online and the person puts those quotation marks around, that means it could mean that they're being sarcastic. Okay, oh, you're so generous. You're not generous, right? Now, when we speak English, sometimes we do the same thing. Instead of putting, we can't speak writing, so we take this idea and we go like this. These are called air quotes. Okay, so sometimes if you see a person doing this, they do this while they say a word that they want to bring your attention to. So I could say, I'm so generous. Generous. That means I'm wanting to make you know that I don't mean this in the literal way. I mean it in some other way. And in this case, I mean it in a sarcastic way. I'm so generous. I'm not generous, right? That's what it means. Okay, so let's take a look at some more examples here. That guy says, I won the lottery. I won the lottery. And this guy says, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay, take a look at these words. Yeah, right. Okay, if you're just learning English, you probably see these words and think, oh, he's agreeing with this guy, right? That guy says, I won the lottery, and this guy's saying, yeah, right, yeah, you won the lottery. No, that's not what this means. This is sarcasm. He's being sarcastic, right? What this means is, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. So if someone says something and you don't believe it, you can say, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Hey, I just won $1 million. You could say, yeah, right. No, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Yeah, right. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Let's say that guy has had a very hard day at work. A lot of things have gone wrong and he's stressed. He just wants to go home and rest. Okay, so on his way home, suddenly he looks in his rear view mirror and sees a cop car behind him. Oh, great. He pulls over, right? And then he could say, great. That's just what I needed. That's just what I needed. Right? He's being sarcastic, right? He says great, but really he means not great, right? That's not what he needed, right? He needs to go home and rest. And now he has to deal with another problem. That's unfortunate, right? He doesn't like that. He doesn't want that. So in this situation, he's being sarcastic. Right? Great. That's just what I needed. That's just what I need. Okay, so this is another example of sarcasm. Sometimes you don't need to be talking to another person. You can talk to yourself, right? Great. It's just what I needed, right? In this situation, he's just talking to himself. He's being sarcastic to himself, right? Okay, take a look at that guy. That guy is talking to this girl, and he says, nice shoes. When did you become a hooker? Nice shoes. When did you become a hooker? Okay, look at that, nice shoes. Is he giving her a compliment? Well, if we think about the literal meaning, then this would be a compliment, right? Nice shoes, right? That's usually a compliment, right? Literally that means it's a compliment. But look what he says. When did you become a hooker? When did you become a hooker? Hooker means prostitute. So he's saying she looks like a prostitute. So he's being sarcastic here. He doesn't mean that she has nice shoes. I mean, he says, nice shoes. When did you become a hooker? When did you become a prostitute? He's saying she looks like a prostitute. Okay, so that's why it's important to understand sarcasm, because, you know, if she doesn't understand sarcasm, she might think he's giving her a compliment. You know, I don't know. Maybe she might think that. And maybe it's good if she doesn't understand sarcasm, because if she understands it, she'll know that guy's being critical. He's saying she looks like a prostitute. Okay, so that's sarcasm. Let's take a look at another example. Okay, that guy asks this girl, he says, are you being sarcastic? Are you being sarcastic? This is an honest question. And she says, me? Sarcastic? Never. Me? Sarcastic? Never. She's saying she's always sarcastic. This is a sarcastic way of saying, I'm always sarcastic. You know that. Me? Sarcastic? Never. Right? So again here, you can tell by the tone of voice that she is being sarcastic. Okay, let's take a look at another example. That guy says, I'm a great cook. I can make a mean mac and cheese. I'm a great cook. I can make a mean mac and cheese. Okay, actually, he's not a great cook. Okay, every day he just cooks macaroni and cheese. Okay, mac and cheese is short for macaroni and cheese. Okay, most people just call it mac and cheese. So A person who just cooks this every day is not a good cook. They're a really bad cook. But he says, I'm a great cook. I can make a mean mac and cheese. Now, mean is a slang term for delicious. Okay, I can make a delicious mac and cheese. I can make a mean mac and cheese, right? So this is sarcasm. He's being sarcastic. He's making fun of himself, right? He's saying, I'm not a great cook. He's admitting that, but in a funny sort of a way, an interesting way. Okay, so we can call this self-deprecating humor. When you make fun of yourself, that's called self-deprecating humor. I do it quite often. Maybe in some of my videos you've noticed I make fun of myself. Maybe I talk about my big ears, my nose. I might say I look like an elephant. Okay, that is self-deprecating. I'm making fun of myself. I'm criticizing myself. Okay, take a look at this. Okay, this guy's shirt says, I might not look like much, but in actuality, I'm not much. So this is funny because when you see the first part of the sentence, this means I don't look good, right, on the outside. I might not look like much. I might be ugly on the outside, but inside, I'm a nice person. I'm a great person. Okay, there are lots of quotes that say that. So you think the second half is going to say, but inside I'm a good person. But what it says is I'm actually not much. Okay, so what this means is I don't look very good on the outside, and inside I'm not a very good person either. Okay, so this is sort of funny. It's an example of self-deprecating humor. He's making fun of himself. Okay, so is sarcasm good or is it bad? Well, like I said, it can be used for criticism or for humor. Okay, sometimes sarcasm is just cruel, Like bullies might use sarcasm. Let's say there's an overweight guy in a class of students. One of the boys is very overweight. Then some of the other, students, some bullies might say, call him Mr. Skinny. Hey, Mr. Skinny, what's up? Right? They're saying he's skinny, but everybody knows he's fat, and he knows he's fat. So that might hurt him, right? If they're teasing him, if they're making fun of him by calling him Mr. Skinny, he knows that they're mocking him. They're making fun of him, they're mocking him. So sarcasm can be cruel, okay? But it can also be lighthearted, just lighthearted, right? Like self-deprecating humor. If I say, yeah, my ears are as big as an elephant, right? Or if I'm joking someone else, hey, you're a great cook. If you cook mac and cheese every day, I'd say, oh yeah, look at you, you're a great cook. I'm being sarcastic. You laugh about it, I laugh about it. It's lighthearted. It's lighthearted. I don't mean to insult you or criticize you, right? So sarcasm can be great. It's a very common part of humor, because it's saying the opposite, right? So it makes something more interesting. If you always just say the literal meaning, then it's sort of boring, right? Sometimes it's more exciting to use figurative language. It just makes things more interesting. So that's about sarcasm. If you have any questions about sarcasm, let me know down there in the comments. I could give you a lot more examples, but like I say, I don't want to make my lessons too long so that you fall asleep. Okay, so I want to know, do you have sarcasm in your language? Do you have sarcasm? Is the sarcasm in your language the same as in English? Do you think it's the same, or is it a little bit different, or what? I actually don't really know any other languages. I can speak a bit of German, I can speak a bit of Hindi, but I don't speak other languages well enough to use sarcasm. So I want to know in your language if you use sarcasm a lot as a way, to be funny or as a way to criticize people. So teach me about sarcasm in your language. Let me know down there in the comments, and I'll see you guys over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.